come, it will come, it will come. Mighty. Welcome, 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 welcome to Excelling Kids and Families page. It's really good to be back live. It's good to be back live. Please gather your amazing, excelling children. Get them prepared, get them ready. Yourself as a mother, as a father, as an uncle, join in. As a grandparent, join in. We are all going to learn together with our children as we help them to grow to be the excelling people that they have been created to be. I trust that you are all doing very, very well. As I said earlier, I miss coming on live, and today I push it back to 7:30 because I did not want to postpone it again. And I am so excited to be here and to add value to your family, to add value to my listeners, to add value to our excelling kids. Please kindly do us a favor and share this page with somebody, share this lesson with somebody. Let them know we are live, and together, as I always say, we are raising an excellent generation. Together we are raising an excellent generation. We thank God for this opportunity, and we ask for His grace, His help to be able to raise an excellent generation, to be able to bring the lesson to a level where our children will be able to understand. And thank you everybody who has been on this journey with us so far. I know we are going somewhere. What we are doing here is not going to waste. It's not going to be for granted. There's definitely a reward attached to it, and we shall see the fruit of our labor. We shall see the results of the things that we have been putting in, the efforts that we have been putting in, day out. We shall see the results. So thank you, and we thank God as well. So without wasting too much time, we are going to go into our lesson today, and it's all about the controlling our communication, controlling our words, controlling our tongue. Yeah, I had to get grips on my tongue right there. Controlling our tongues. And for our children, what we simply mean by controlling our tongue is, it simply means being careful with our choice of words, being careful with our choice of words. So today we are talking about the kinds of words that we use and understanding how powerful they can be. They can be powerful in a destructive way, or they can be very powerful in a very positive way. And these days, I mean, many of the parents or even the young people can attest to this, that it is not strange to wake up in the morning only to come on social media, various platforms, to see on your screens of phones verbal wars, or fights, or as they will call it these days, beef on our social media, which involves a lot of people abusing themselves with words that are not pleasant, words that are very bad, negative, and it really can hurt people's feelings emotionally. But it's or rather unfortunate that it's almost, we are almost getting used to it because it's happening so much in our times now, in our community now. But we should not sit down and continue to let this keep going on, especially for the sake of our children. I always talk to our parents, the adults, that for the sake of our children, certain things, no matter how difficult it is to let go, we just have to say, for the sake of our children, we will let go and control our speech and control our communication as adults. Because why? They are watching us. Our kids are watching us. Whether we like it or not, we are their role models. And so if we do not, in the first instance as parents, learn to control, discipline our speech, discipline our communication, then what chance do our kids have? The Bible says that if the foundation, is destroyed, what can the righteous do? As parents, as adults, we are their foundation. So we have to be, we have to make sure that we are disciplining our speech and our communication. We can come here and teach them all the tools, which by the grace of God, we have plenty tools to share with them. But our kids need to see those tools in action in our lives as adults. So I encourage all our parents to really watch this tonight's lesson with your children, because even me preparing it has really helped me to see how I can model my speech in a way that my children will be able to see it practically and be able to, apply the same thing in their lives, or live that healthy, positive, godly lifestyle that we are all praying that they will live for. Now, words, as I said, are very powerful, and to show how powerful it is in the Bible, it is, we use fire as an analogy to stand for how powerful words are. And for my children that loves reading their Bible, you can write this down and read it later. You can find it in James chapter 3 verse 5 to 6. Now, Apostle Paul used fire as an analogy to show how words can spread quickly. And these verses really ministered to me because, so many thousands of years ago it was written, but we realized that just as, it is described in the Bible how quickly words can spread, we find it in our times now, thanks to technology. I mean, somebody will release a speech and within a minute, it will reach thousands, if not millions of people. And that is how quickly our communication, our words, our speech can spread. So having that in mind, we always have to consider what kind of words are we spreading. If it's a bad, they are bad words, imagine it as fire, how destructive fire is, how it can go ahead and consume so many things along its path. And when we begin to think of our words like that, I believe that it will caution us as children or even as adults to be careful with our choice of words. Now, in our lesson today, we are going to learn about 5 ways that can help our children. You can call them tools. 5 tools that can help our children to discipline their speech, their speaking, their communication, talking to others. These 5 ways, when they have understood it, will really guide them to make sure that their communication is done in a manner or in a way that is very pleasant, that is very positive, that is very effective. So number one is the use of our tone. The words that we use is the words that we use are equally important to the tone that we use alongside those words. So we have to be careful about the tone of our voice when we are communicating. So the tool number one is to be careful that we use the right tone. We use the right tone. Now, somebody can come to you and ask you, oh, are you okay? Just by the tone of their voice, you will feel, that they are concerned about you. You will feel it, you will understand that they mean those words in a very positive way, in a very good way. The same three words, are you okay, with another tone, like, are you okay? In a tone that is like almost asking you, like, are you as we say in Ghana, are you correct? As in asking, in a sense that, are you okay mentally? But those same words with a very kind tone, with a soft, gentle tone, will mean something completely different to the tone that was harsh and that was rude. So we need to pay attention to the tone of our voice. It's very, very important. Now, sometimes, I've come across people who have grown up and they say, oh, from, my background, that's the tone that we use in our family, in our community. We are always very loud and, it doesn't mean anything. Yes, within your family, it might be acceptable. But as you are growing up, you will know that, your life is not only lived within your community. It's not only lived within your family. You have to go outside to school. You have to go out to work, and you are going to meet other people. So I tell our children today that as we are teaching you this lesson, we are drawing your attention to it, that yes, in your family or in your community, in the town that you live in, sometimes the tone of voice might be high and is acceptable, and people there do not see it as being rude or anything wrong with that. But be mindful that when you go out there, check the environment, the new environment that you are in. Check it out. What kind of tone will work in this new environment? So you go out to a new school, and everybody, the way they are communicating is soft, is gentle. So checking that you have control. I always tell my children that you have control. Yes, it might be something that you have grown up with, but with a bit of work on yourself, you can bring that tone down if it's going to be helpful in the new environment that you find yourself. Now, it's important that we learn to answer softly, no matter how the other person might be raging at us. I know it's very difficult. When I say this, I know I appreciate how difficult it is to find somebody who is very annoying, in front of you and trying or being very, very silly or being very foolish, and you are trying your best to answer them softly. It is difficult, but we trust the word of God. In Proverbs chapter 15 verse 1, it says that soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stir up anger. So what we don't want is for our harsh words, the harsh use of our voice, to stir up anger. It will be like what? Adding more fire or more fuel to the fire. And that is not what we want. So we have to practice answering softly. Now, sometimes I understand that our children might not want to come across as being too soft and they can be taken over. But don't look at it that way. Look at it that as you answer softly, you are appearing as the person who has control over their emotions. So whenever you answer softly, you are telling yourself and the others around you how disciplined you are. So don't be worried that somebody somewhere will say, oh, this person is so soft. No, it is your choice. You can be equally harsh, but you are choosing to be soft, because when you choose to answer softly, what you are saying is that you are in control of the situation, rather than the situation or the person throwing their wits about is in control over you. When you see it that way, you won't get too worried about, answering softly to others, especially in difficult situations, picking the tone that will help bring the situation down, and not to raise your tone to escalate the entire situation that is at hand. Now, number two, the tool number two to help you to use disciplined communication or language is to listen up. Good listening, we mean by listening up, is to be a good listener, if not a better listener, or much better, an excellent listener. Now, many a times, we are quick to talk rather than, yes, thank you so much. It's definitely an advice for us all, even adults. Thank you for that, my wonderful sister. So we need to train ourselves to listen. And personally, I've had to really work on myself in terms of being able to listen, pay attention, and listen when I am talking with people. Again, we have this, Bible verse that backs this up. And it says in James chapter 1 verse 19 that we should be quick to hear, slow to speak. Quick to hear simply means we should listen attentively, more than looking forward eagerly to respond. Unfortunately, many people find it easier the other way around, which is to be quick to hear and slow to speak. But we know that when that happens, we are bound to make mistakes, because when we don't listen carefully, we might respond wrongly. We might misunderstand what the person said. And I'm sure if you sit down to check, you have examples of situations where you didn't pay attention, you didn't listen, and you jump into conclusion, almost got into a fight, only to realize that that was not what the person meant. So listening carefully, paying attention when we are communicating with other people is so important. It is very helpful to us, the listener, so that we don't jump into conclusion and make the wrong, or respond wrongly. So how can we, do good listening? By focusing on the speaker. So when you're speaking to somebody, learn to focus on them fully. So focus on their face fully, talking to them, and keep an eye contact so that they will be able to engage with you. When you are talking to somebody and the person is not looking at you, sometimes it makes you wonder, is this person paying attention? But in order to remove any doubt, you can look at the person's face. You can look at the person, and it can take some good practice, and especially if you are not used to looking at people's faces, you can practice in your home by talking with your parents and looking at them in the face. And parents listening to me, you can help your children to build that up, that it helps to be, it shows that they are confident, and they can only come out like that if they have practiced with us, looking at us in our face, not in a rude way, but in a way that they are engaging with us. And to go with looking at somebody, not in looking at them in their eyes and so be coming out so strange, but looking at them with the eye that is kind. And that will come as a result of your heart. when you are listening to the person and you are showing genuine interest in what the person is saying, when you look at their face, their eyeballs, guess what? They will not feel intimidated. They will feel that pure, kindness that you are using to listen to them. So make sure you are smiling, you are nodding as you are listening to the person. It shows the person that you are engaging with them. And then also another tip to show or to help you know how to listen very well is to listen not only to the words coming out of their mouth, the sound of the words, the tone they are using, and most especially the feelings behind those words. We should not miss it. We have to train ourselves as young as we are. You can see when somebody is saying something and they are very serious. Even your parents, you know how when they are talking, the vibes, if I can put it that way, the feelings that you get from them when they are very serious, and compared to when what they are saying is not as serious. So you need to learn to pick all those things up. That will help you very well to respond appropriately. Now, what you want to avoid when you are listening is to resist the temptation to think about your response. And I have been guilty of this, for so many years, but I thank God that through practice, I am, coming out of it. So this is a situation whereby you are listening to the person, but then your mind is also roaming about, thinking about what to say after the person has finished. But when you do that, it's very difficult, as we have learned in our previous lessons, for our mind to concentrate on two things at the same time. It would only focus on one thing at a time. So practice focusing, finish listening to everything that a person has to say fully before you respond. And that will be a sign that you are listening effectively. You are listening very, very well. Now, so that is tool number 2. Let's move on to tool number 3. Is to let your speech be kind and pleasant. Or in other words, let your communication be gracious. Be kind and pleasant with your words. And how do we do this? We can use salt as an analogy to help us to break this down. So we all know what salt is. I mean, everybody, right from the young age, we've been eating food with salt in it, to the extent that when somebody puts food in front of us and there's no salt, immediately you will know that there's something wrong. The food doesn't taste right because salt is missing. So what salt does is it enhances the flavor of our food. It enhances the taste of our food. The same way we can choose words that are like salt, words that are pleasant, that are kind, and we can do this in compliments, giving kind compliments. Somebody wore a nice dress, don't fail to say, "Oh, your dress is beautiful. Oh, I like your shirt. Oh, I like your tie. Or, I like your bag. Oh, your handwriting is very good." Using compliments is a way that you can enhance your communication, your conversation. Also, using positive remarks, making sure that the remarks that you are making are not remarks that can agitate the person. And sometimes these negative remarks come as a result of allowing negative feelings in our hearts, or allowing negative feelings in ourselves, such as when we become jealous of somebody. It will be very difficult for us to compliment the person. It will be very difficult for us to give them a positive remarks. So in order to use words that enhances our conversation, makes our conversation pleasant, we ought to check our feelings towards other people. Make sure that those feelings are good feelings. they are kind. And when they have offended you, that is the right time to, think positively towards them. By all means, go speak to them, tell them how you feel, and settle things with them. By doing that, when next you are communicating with them, your heart is free and you will be able to choose those words, those positive remarks, those insightful questions or respectful responses that are needed. So for tool number 3, to let our speech be kind and pleasant, we need to make sure that we are contributing positively to speeches or conversations that are friendly. We have to contribute positively. When we are communicating, we should make sure that, especially when the conversation is flowing in a kind, positive way, don't go and drop in a remarks that will bring the whole sweet, pleasant conversation down. Now, another thing we can learn from salt, using that as an analogy of how we can make our communication pleasant and kind, is that salt can be used to preserve food. Now, the same way our words can preserve or it can destroy. So to be able to preserve, we must choose words that are truthful. That are truthful. If we don't say the truth and we allow lies into our conversations, into our speech, into our communications, eventually we are allowing bad things into our lives and into the lives of the people around us. So using truthful words is a way of preserving life, preserving your own life and preserving the life of another person. Because we know that somebody can lie against somebody and that lie can end that person up in prison or put that person in a big trouble. When we do that, we have not preserved life. Rather, we have destroyed life. So to be like salt, we must make sure that our words are words of truth. It preserves our lives and preserves the life of others. And it's only the truth, as the Bible says, that can set us free. Now, because of time, we are moving on swiftly. Also, we've got so much, analogy with salt. Salt is also used to melt ice. When it snows, we all know that in our roads they put, salt or sand rather. But when you have salt, when you have ice and you place salt on it, it can help it melt quickly. This simply means in relation to communication or the use of our words, it simply means that we need to respectfully engage with people, even when they are cold. What we mean by somebody being cold is like, you are trying to speak to this person, but it's like they are, giving you attitude or they're giving you the cold shoulder. Yes, it can be a put off, but we can try to be like salt with our conversation, with the choice of our words, to be kind to them. And by using those kind words, we can melt that ice, cold heart that they probably are experiencing at that present moment. Salt has also been used in the past to slow infection. In the same way, with the right choice of words, we can put a stop to, gossip, as an example, to rumors, false rumors going round. If we choose our words carefully, if we choose the way we communicate carefully, we are disciplined in our communication, we will make sure that we are not spreading rumors. We are not being part of the group of people that are spreading gossip about other people. And what I always say to myself or even to our young people is that we wouldn't like gossip to be spread about us. And so when we are tempted, especially these days on social media, to share posts that are talking about people that we haven't met. We don't even know who they are. But purely because somebody is saying something about them, we are sharing. When we do that, we are not being like a good salt. We are rather spreading the infection rather than stopping the infection. So we have to be careful with what we share in terms of like speaking verbally or typing, as I put in our description. So these days it's not only talking face to face, but out the comments our WhatsApp chat, in our Snapchat, whatever platform we are on, the words that we are typing, the posts that we are sharing, we have to consider, are we spreading the infection of gossip and rumors, or are we going to put a halt to it? Are we going to put an end to it? And I believe that if we all did that, this world will be a very, very pleasant place to live. Or I'll say social media will be a very pleasant place for all. Now, let's move on because of our time to the fourth tool. The fourth tool is to be mindful of what you allow through your ears. Be mindful of what you hear. You know, it is often said that we are what we eat, but it's also true that we are what we hear. We are what we eat in the sense that physically, if we eat too much, you know, we are going to put on the weight. So people will see us as overweight. But we are what we hear in the sense that what we hear affects our feeling. Our feeling affects our actions. And by our actions, we build habits that becomes characters, that becomes part of us. So we need to make sure, right from the young age, now you have learned this lesson. If you can understand everything I'm saying so far, it means that you can control the things that you allow in your ears by watching the environment that you go to, the people that you move around with, who are the voices that you allow into your life. Who have you been listening to? Who have you allowed or given so much attention to in terms of your hearing? Who are you listening to? So we need to check those voices. It can be a voice of a person in front of you. It can be a voice through, social media, once again, through YouTube, through the various platforms. It can be a typed up text. It can be a typed up message. Those are words that we feed our minds with. So be careful on the words that you allow into your mind. Now, how do you do that? It's by making sure that your filters are strong. Now, you know that in your home, your laptops, your phones, your parents have put on, security softwares that filters the garbage. Make sure that no virus, comes in, or no hackers come into your computer or your gadgets. The same way, you can raise the filters in your mind simply by upholding to your family values, upholding for our believers, the children, the Christians among us, for upholding the values, the Christian principles, the word of God that you read, the Bible that you read daily and day out, upholding it high esteem in your life, using that as a guide, as part of your values, so that when any other conflicting message comes to the things that your parents have taught you, you will be able to know, your mind, will know definitely this is against my family values. This is against what I believe. This is against my faith. And by doing that, you are able to discard those things and not practice them. Because the danger is when you keep hearing it and you begin to practice them, whether subconsciously or, unconsciously or consciously, that is when it becomes part of you. But when you guard against it, it's like, nope, I'm not going to do that. That is not me. So make sure that you have those filters, your family values, your, Christian values that you have been raised with. Make sure that you uphold them high in your life. And the fifth tool and then we are almost done. Thank you so much for those that have really held on throughout, and for those families that joined late, please go back and watch. It's such a powerful lesson we are learning, or we've just done. Now the fifth one is to look for models who respond appropriately, who communicate with kind words, with pleasant words, who knows how to reply softly, who knows how to speak to people and melt those, that have got those hardened ice hearts, that are able to speak, and the unrest will have peace in their hearts. And we have them all around us. It might be your parents, it might be your teachers, it might even be your peer. Maybe you have a mate and you have really studied this, your friend. The way they speak, the words that they use, they are so pleasant. You can copy those good words, good, things that are being shared, but obviously discard the wrong ones. So look for good role models when it comes to being a good, listener, being a good communicator, learning how to choose your words carefully. And with my parents and adults listening, this is our reminder that we are their role models. So for their sake, we have to make sure that we are their example of what good responses are, what good speech is, what a pleasant communication is, and it will go a long way to help us and also help our beloved excelling children. And one last bonus, and then we are done. And that bonus tool is, yes, we've learned this lesson. Sometimes it is easier said than done, but I believe that with practice, being intentional and being mindful of our communication, of the way we choose our words, when we do that consistently, it will become part of us. That is when it will get easier. But even if we miss it, don't shoot yourself. We are all human. Sometimes we make mistakes, but the most important thing is to learn from that. You allowed a bad word to slip out. You realize that. What do? You apologize for it. You make sure that it doesn't happen again. You find out why did it happen, what triggered it, and make sure that those triggers, are removed from your life. You don't get close to those triggers so that you don't utter out bad words. So this is where we are going to end our lesson today. I hope that it has blessed you. It has blessed you, your excelling children. God richly bless you. Thank you so much for joining us, for all your comments, for all your likes, for sharing and blessing children across the globe. Thankfully, we can have this message and have it share with them no matter where they are. It's not only confined to people, in the children in the West, even in the developing country, back home in the countries in Africa, our children can hear these powerful lessons. So God richly bless you, to everybody who has been supporting. My prayer is that your home will keep excelling in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Thank you and God bless you. Bye, everyone. See you next week, God willing, same time. Thank you so much. Bye.